This month we played Avowed, Our History Untold, Civ 7, and Towerborne. Let's discuss each of these games and my opinions on them. First up, Civ 7. Now, this caused some controversy on the channel, and let me show you that clip right now. I just don't think, you know, it's weird how you can just kind of have that moment and you just realize, like, that changing to the next era there and seeing that you then start playing as another civilization just feels jank and not at all for, like, I want to be able to, possibly you might not get the refund as you've used one of the bonus of it early access. I might not, but if I don't, I don't care. If I don't, I don't care, but I might as well try and see, because I don't think that was like, I was going to give it some good reviews, like good points, and I think there still is some good points to take away from it. But I don't think, me sitting here now, thinking about the last hour and a half, I've been sat there going, well, I don't know how to do workers like I did before. I can't, my scouts don't move around manually constantly. I mean, unless I missed an option, which I totally could have. My scouts move around manually and won't just go on auto explore. Somehow, you know, somehow I become, I can be a character who isn't at all related to the country I'm playing as, and also then the age after you end up playing as a different country, which will mean that you always end up as a character who isn't related to the country they're playing as. That's a potential work, but I don't think anyone is a fan of the Civ changing mechanic. Yeah, I just don't get that. I do, in the sense, but like I do and I don't, right? Because eventually at a point, like generally a lot of that's static, right? Throughout history, within reason. Like obviously very early on, the Antiquity Age, yeah, maybe, but thereafter, not so much. I don't know. I haven't vibed it. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I haven't vibed it there. That frustrated me actually a little bit. If it weren't Civilization, right? If it weren't Civ and knowing what Civ has been previously, I think I'd have enjoyed it more. Because it is Civ, and because I know how Civ 5 was, and to a lesser degree Civ 6, I don't think that is a worthy successor to the Civ name, in my humble opinion. However, it is what it is. It's done. I'll see if I get a refund. If I don't, it's still, you know, I still played it, and I probably would still play it, but, you know, we'll see. We'll see. So as you guys can see, I actually ended up refunding the game, and it was primarily because it didn't feel like the Civ I had liked prior and the Civ I wanted to play. And so it was just a matter of, like, it clicked in that moment. I wanted to refund it. A lot of people actually really hated that video. If you want to go and watch it, I'll put it up here, that you guys will be able to see. And you know, it really didn't go well over with the people who watched the video. They didn't like that I had sort of dissed Civ 7. But I think personally, the criticisms I gave the game are pretty valid, and I still agree with them now. So yeah, that was Civ 7. On to the next one, we have Our History Untold, which I actually sort of played in response to Civ 7 with Magus, a friend of the channel, and we played that, and I actually really enjoyed that. I think, you know, you can't compare like two different things that are not the same, playing with someone else and then also doing it in a way that you know, it was a different experience. You know, it was longer play, you know, etc. So in a way, I do keep that in mind. However, I did enjoy Ara a lot more, just because it felt more along the lines of what Civ had been when I'd played Civ 5 and small amounts of Civ 6. And so yeah, I kind of enjoyed Ara again, probably because I was playing with Magus. But really, it had a little bit more of that Civ style. It had you being able to explore in the same kind of way that a typical Civ game would, with that auto traverse. The way the districts kind of formed were really cool and really interesting. It kept you in that style of a leader throughout the ages, even though those leaders wouldn't appear in that time. It didn't make it feel sort of weird like Civ has done this time round. Don't get me wrong, there was still some things I didn't like about the game, and I still think there's some things that Civ does better. Civ looks better, first off. I also think that I didn't necessarily love the way they did city-states. I think the way Civ has done city-states typically is usually better, but I did like the idea that you could recruit those city-states and they would become part of your main city, because it means you don't have to like deal with the inflation in a way. But I always kind of liked the idea of gaining territory because you went after a city-state, so it's like a double-edged sword in a way there. But overall, yes, a fun experience. And actually those two pieces of content are some of the most profitable pieces of content I've done on the channel, which is hilarious because I had like a great disdain for Civ after playing it. Well, maybe great is a bit strong, but still. And then with Aura, I actually quite liked it, but I don't know if it's a game I'd go back to again and again and again. So it's funny, but there you go. That's sometimes how these things go. Next up, we played Towerborne, and here's a clip of me discussing that as well. What I will say is I've enjoyed this. I think it's very cutesy. I like the kind of style of the game. I like that it's like what I enjoy, and I think what I'm kind of most drawn to this is the way the game looks, and I like that it's a side-scroller-esque thing, but it's not like just side-scrolling, if you know what I mean. You still have some area to move within that, and I kind of like the classes as well, actually. I think the classes are pretty cool. Do I feel wholly pulled in by the gameplay necessarily? No, not yet, but I still think an hour in is very, very fresh for a game like this, and I can definitely see myself playing some more and trying to get to grips with some of those classes, because I think actually what they've got for a set of base classes, this one, the Pyro class and the Rock Breaker, are pretty interesting as far as like starting classes in a game go, because, you know, Sentinel and Shadow Striker, that's your Rogue and your Paladin, right? But these ones, these are interesting. These are cooler. This is like Vi from League, and then this is totally separate, like a war club that blasts flames out. That's really cool. I really like that idea. So there's more to play here for sure, and I don't think I can give it a just sort of full review based on an hour and 15 minutes there or thereabouts, but I actually would say that for a game that's still relatively like in beta and is sort of, again, very preliminary in terms of what I've done with it today, I actually did enjoy it, and I think it looks pretty, and it's a chill time. It's nice to have a chill game for a change. So yeah, Towerborne was quite a fun experience. Again, something I was gifted, so it wasn't necessarily something that I would have gone out and necessarily played like instantly straight out the gate, but it was fun to play. I did enjoy it, and I do want to go back to it at some point, because it seemed like people who had watched the last video really got into it, so maybe we'll jump back into that soon. Keep an eye out for that. Lastly, this month we played Avowed, which is a brand new game that dropped on Game Pass by Obsidian, and it is set in the Pillars of Eternity universe. And again, I've only played a short amount of time with this, but I did enjoy what was there. It felt very fun, it felt very colorful, it felt like an interesting story. It's nice to see that even though I haven't played the Pillars games, it does include the lore of those games. It kind of doesn't even shy away from discussing that lore. And it just seems like a world that actually, once I kind of play a little bit more of, I could get sucked into. Not in the least because the first companion you get is voiced by the same guy who voices Garrus from Mass Effect, which does win some points. I'm just going to be real on that. But yes, overall, an experience, and whilst it was sort of lacking in combat and does have a lack of romance as well, which I know for some people is a big no-no, like romance in an RPG is kind of a must. I think otherwise I did enjoy it, and I definitely do want to go back to it at some point. And it's also sparked my interest in playing the Pillars games. So that's it for this month. I hope you guys enjoyed this and the games we've been playing. If you have recommendations for games to play going forward, or otherwise some recommendations on the games we are playing, let us know. Thanks guys, I'll see you later.